Hey everyone, Zero Core here with another Steam Deck video. This is going to be a cool one. It turns out, since a few months, Perfect Dark has been ported to the PC. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to get it running on your Steam Deck and how to get the most out of the quality of life features that this PC port brings. Some of those things include high refresh rates, which is really nice in the 90Hz display of the OLED Steam Deck, but it also brings new features like mouse input and therefore also, my favorite, gyro input. So let's go ahead and show you guys how you can set this up. First, we have to download the Perfect Dark port on GitHub. It's still in active development. There are quite a few bugs that still need to be ironed out, but I haven't noticed anything that is fundamentally game-breaking. The quality of life features, the widescreen support, the proper support for high refresh rates, the mouse input, the ability to map all the button mappings to your liking exactly, it makes it just much better than to emulate the game. So I would definitely go and play this version over any other version that's available outside of the Nintendo 64 original. We're going to download the Linux version, so all you have to do is just click it and it will download the latest version of the Perfect Dark Linux build. Once it's downloaded, you unzip it. Let me go over here. Now we have to determine where we're going to place this folder. You can pretty much place it anywhere you like, but I prefer putting it in the actual Steam folder on my SD card. So what I'm going to do is go to my SD card, Steam Apps, Common, and just drag, drop it in here. Now, as you can probably tell, I already have it installed, so I'm not going to drag it in here, but this is basically the way you got to do it. Once that is done, we need to set the Perfect Dark executable to actually be executable. So we set it to is executable. Make sure you have this checked. And then the most important part, arguably, is to actually add the ROM. Now, I cannot tell you how to add this ROM, or where to get it rather, how you can rip it from a cartridge or where you can find it online, because I'm pretty sure my video would get flagged. Let's just say it's not very difficult to find this kind of information in the usual places. So once you found the ROM, and it has to be the 1.1 ROM, not the 1.0 version of the game, as I understand it, you put it in this folder and have to name it exactly like this, pd.ntsc-final.z64. This implies it needs to be the US version of the game also, keep that in mind, not the European one. Okay, so the next step is to add the game to Steam. So what we gotta do is we gotta go to Library, and then say Add Game, add non-Steam game, say Browse. In my case, it's in the SD card folder of Steam. There we go. There it is. Make sure that you have all files visible, and then you select the PD executable and say Open. It will then show up as as PD. Now, in my case, I've already got it installed. I already added the artwork manually. You can also do this very easily using Steam Grid DB if you have Decky Loader installed. Most important part, whether you use the actual artwork or not, is to rename the game if you want to use my Steam input layout later. So you basically rename it Perfect Dark with capital P, capital D. Another really important thing is that we set the launch options properly so it uses the correct version of the Steam Linux runtime. So in my case, the Steam Linux runtime is pre-installed on the SD card. It can also be pre-installed in your actual regular common folder on your internal hard drive if you're not using a SD card. But basically, you can find it in here, or conversely in the common folder that's over here on your local internal SSD. We go into the Steam Linux runtime _sniper folder, and we have to basically run this as a command. So easiest way to do this is to just say right click, copy location, then we go into Steam. Let me just, for the sake of this example, completely remove what I have. You say paste, and then space, percentage, command, percentage. There we go. And now we can just test if the game will run properly. There we go. We got Perfect Dark up and running. Now, I'm not going to play it right away. I'm going to close it, Because now, because we've renamed it and we can boot it properly, we can actually go ahead and add my Steam input layout. So I already have it set, but you should be able to find it in the community section of Steam input. There you go. Just apply it once you found it. Okay, once you've applied the Steam input settings, there's one last step we gotta take, and that is to replace the default pd.ini file with my version so it holds the right key bindings and mouse sensitivity alongside my Steam input profile for you guys. Also keep in mind, my Steam input profile is based on inverted aim, so if you don't like that, then you can change the inverted settings in the Steam input layout yourself and you should be good to go. But if you want to use my settings, which will make things a whole lot easier in my opinion, all you have to do is go to the pastebin link in the description down below, copy these settings, go back to the .ini file, select everything, and just replace it by copy pasting with my settings and then saving. So now you don't have to map anything manually, you're basically good to go. Now we can go back into gaming mode and play some Perfect Dark.
Agent Dark, mission log 1846 hours.
I've been playing this for a few weeks now, actually, and I just can't get enough of it. The game looks so nice and crisp. The high frame rate makes it feel super smooth. With a little bit of quality of life changes that have been added to this build, it makes the game feel a little bit more modern, but still very authentically Perfect Dark, and it just shows like how much this game has stood the test of time, in my opinion.
This time, it's not just my life on the line.
I always found it cool that if you play this in Perfect Agent, the role switches between the negotiator you have to save and being the negotiator yourself. All right, here we go. So you may notice that there's no weapon sway, because that's something you can actually turn off. And I also have aim assist / auto aim completely turned off because I'm completely relying on right stick plus gyro to do the aiming. And it works amazingly well. I always felt that somehow this would have made for a really good multiplayer map, actually. And speaking of multiplayer, with this PC port, there is the eventual, potential for proper online multiplayer. Now, the developer who almost solely is in charge of developing this game is saying that it will probably take years before we have anything resembling remotely functional multiplayer. It's a huge undertaking, and I can't even imagine where to begin from a software development and engineering point of view. But man, the prospect of playing this with all the aforementioned quality of life features in multiplayer, like single screen, I don't know, 8 to 16 player matches. I mean, that's just the dream, man. It just plays so smooth, as you can tell. If you own a Steam Deck, you owe it to yourself to play this, in my opinion. Oh. Oh shit. No, 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 no. Come here, come here. Come back. There we are. Ooh. The music in this game. There we go. It's really difficult to go back to the original, in my opinion, even like at a high frame rate emulation. The high refresh rate on the Steam Deck OLED like makes this feel so smooth. Now, the developer says that the game really has some bugs running at a higher refresh rate, which is true, but I haven't really run into anything that is severely game-breaking. So, yeah, it's not worth switching to an emulator, in my opinion. This build is already more than stable enough, in my opinion. This build is already more than stable enough for just proper playthroughs for the most part, unless you're like a speedrunner or something.
I get the wind generator back online. I'll get power to the lower basement.
The multiplayer sims, like the computer-controlled enemies, are a bit broken. My advice is don't try to be a hero and fight the perfect sims, because they are way more difficult at high refresh rates than they are in the original game. As I understand it, is that their behavior is like their aim, their movement, etc. The response rate is tied to the game's frame rate. So the higher the frame rate, the more OP they become.
Get her.
Joanna, it's Grimshaw. We got hackers at the villa. We gotta stop them before they get to our files.
Those hackers have to be stopped before I rescue Daniel.
I know some people prefer the Xbox Live Arcade version, primarily because of the high-res textures, and I know that a lot of people out there prefer the Xbox Live Arcade version, primarily because of the higher poly count and high-res textures, but I don't know. I always felt that this OG style is much better.
Here's where they must be holding Daniel.
Jumped right in front, did you? Should I? Yeah, maybe I should. This is a little glitch for those that don't know. You're not supposed to be able to do this. This is supposed to be the end of the mission.
Sir, are you injured?
No, Joanna, I'm okay.
No, he says.
Those pd.ini thugs made me tell them where I'd hidden Dr. Carroll. Only I'd held out for a few minutes more.
It's not your fault, sir. I should have been quicker.
I really like this level. It reminds me the most of the Ghost in the Shell. Like, out of all the levels, I feel. Nice try.
How the Hey,
There's no way through while those
what the
lights are out.
hell? What? Why? Please.
Careful. There we go.
We've recovered the sapient from Carrington and altered its programming.
Is it dangerous?
It no longer has a personality, so there will be no further incidents.
This will reduce its efficiency. My team will have to take it to the core themselves. This will endanger them. You should have anticipated that the sapient might develop a troublesome moral code.
No one could have predicted that, and I resent being singled out.
Mr. Blonde is the gnarliest voice.
The President turned down the request for the loan of the Pelagic II. Could it be you overestimated your influence over him?
No. Perhaps I underestimated his resolve. We have a contingency plan ready to go, and we will move as soon as the presidential entourage arrives at the airbase. All I need from the president is a tissue sample.
Assuming you don't get any interference. If Carrington has pieced together enough of this, he will have called for reinforcements.
There will be no outside help from Mr. Carrington. The technology you gave us is installed in Nevada and fully operational. We can intercept any craft they use.
Then the devices we gave you are working correctly. Good, because we believe anything which does not work correctly should be destroyed. Consider
Such a
that
gnarly
as you follow your backup plans.
Gnarly voice. Okay.
Trigger the alarm.
No, you won't. Did I just trigger it myself? I think I did. Well, at least I didn't create a fail state. I wanted this to go a little bit cleaner, but whatever. Oh my god, they're everywhere. God, die. Where's the decoder? Here we go.
Decoder's gonna take a little longer.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm pushing it. Come on, now make it. Jeez. All right, here we go.
Let's get to the door outside
Oh boy.
My gun!
Whew. That was close. All right, that's Perfect Dark, guys. Check it out.
Agent Dark reporting in. Prepare to receive a download of the meeting data. Priority request from Institute support team to protect the President before he goes to Alaska.
No time for that now, Agent Dark. There's been a development during radio silence. The craft carrying those blends I was talking about was shot down over Nevada. Weapon responsible was found from Area 51. That's where the survivors and debris will have been taken. You're to prep for immediate dispatch when you return here. Carrington out.
Area 51? But what about the President?